Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experience, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Joe Obamani, the general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it. Well, welcome back to the DJ Insider Podcast. As DJs, we know that the right track can change the energy of the room, but today's guest knows how to change the look of a room. She's a master of transformation, of entertainment, taking ordinary things like balloons and turning them to an extraordinary experience. Please welcome to the podcast, Stephanie Brockman from Balloontacular Entertainment.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate such a glowing introduction.
Of course. Thanks so much for coming on. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your company.
Basically, Balloontacular Entertainment is I prefer to stay away from children's entertainment as a descriptor, simply because I can entertain anybody.
Yes.
The kids of all ages. And so I do balloon twisting and I do airbrush face painting as well. So
okay. And yeah, adults can like balloons too. Teens can like balloons.
Kids at heart is what I mean. Kids at heart are always welcome to come up and see me. And I get one of my favorite parties was actually for a 90-year-old great grandpa. And he was the leader of the chaos that day. He had his crown, he had his sword, and before she left, one of the little girls there was like, "This has been the best party ever." And he looked at me and he's like, "She's 7." And she said, "This is the best birthday party she's ever been to." And you could tell that just meant the world to him, that he'd had something that had made the kids excited and happy to be there. And he'd had fun too. So yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
That was one of my questions was, who gets more excited about balloons in your experience? The kids at a wedding or the adults at a cocktail hour?
The most recent wedding I did, the kids got their chance to go through. And then as time was going on, I noticed the adults starting to push the kids that, "No, you don't get a second one. It's my turn now." And I think before I left, I think everybody out on the dance floor was wearing balloons or carrying balloons And, the kids were long gone at that point, and it was the adults who were rocking the headbands and the wearable balloons. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that event. It was fantastic.
Well, yeah, we worked that wedding, I want to say last month over at Journeyman here. And I just got so excited to meet you. I'd heard a lot about you. But to me, what was just immediately clear was that, you absolutely love what you do. It was just, I could just pick up on it.
I do.
And it's really cool. That's like an infectious thing that I'm like, I want to be a part of this. I had a lot of questions for you then. And I was like, I have to get to know her better. So first thing, what do you love about this job?
You know what? Because I'm a perfectionist at heart. So sometimes I have to let that go and hand off something that isn't like my Mona Lisa that I have to let out there. The smile I get in return from people is so amazing because they don't expect what I'm handing them. They ask me for a balloon dog and they expect the little one balloon dog. And I hand them something with a nose and the big ears and the floppy tongue. And no matter how old they are, there's this grin. And it's just like, there's nothing I've ever done that fills me with that much happiness, that I feel like I've made a small difference. And I'm sort of addicted to it.
Yes.
It's like, no, everybody's always happy when I show up to an event. It's like, "Oh my gosh, the balloon lady's here." That never happened to me at any other job. It's like, nobody's ever like, "Oh my gosh, the 911 operator is here." They don't get that excited. Even though it's an important job.
Yes.
They did not get that excited.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. I kind of feel that way about when I play a song and I know people are loving it. They're singing along. It's just, I feel like I made a difference. Yes. I felt like people are having an emotional reaction to something I was involved with, something I'm doing. And that's such a cool feeling to have.
And to be able to read the room and be able to feed that and to be able to make it larger and to just bring that much excitement. Yeah. Nope. I get you. I understand.
Yeah. So Balloontacular Entertainment, is it just you? Do you have other people that work with you?
I have two assistants that work for me. One is my daughter. She's my lead assistant. She's been working for me since she was 16.
Wow.
Yeah, she's 21 now. And last year she started going out on her own events before I would bring her as backup for me. She mostly does face painting. It takes a lot of nerves of steel to stand there with a line of people bearing down on you and twisting a balloon. And if it pops, just being able to keep on going, keep on laughing, and make it part of the routine. She doesn't like that part very much, so she sticks to the face painting where it's more one-on-one. It's closer, it's detail oriented. And then I also have another assistant too. He just started this year, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he also face paints as well. I'm the only one with the nerves of steel to do the balloons.
That would take a lot of experience. Have you gone to school for this? Have you got training? Self-taught?
It's so funny because I say that when people are talking about what they want to do with their phases of life, I'm like, look at all the things that you've done before. And what do all those things tie up into that's going to bring you happiness? It's not necessarily a hobby, and turning any hobby into a profession isn't necessarily doable. But like in my case, so I started balloon twisting because my daughter wanted balloons at her 10th birthday. And I couldn't find anybody in Northwest Indiana to do it at that time. And I'm like, you know what? I've got this book. Maybe I can learn. So I sat there and like, for a few balloons, I'm going, there's got to be better out there because this isn't going great. It's not bad, but it could be better. So I go online, YouTube University, of course.
Yes.
And I find some artists who tell me which balloons I need. They tell me what kind of pump I need. And I'm like, I had enough time that it's like, okay, let's start this. And brought that in. And I come from a family of makers anyway. So it wasn't out of the realm of possibility for me to just go out on this limb. So, comes party time, I've taken out all my skills and doing this, and the moms were just like really excited and really happy and thought I needed a business. And I'm like, you know what? I am kind of good at this. Maybe I do need a business. And then, so I started doing the online courses offered by some of my favorite artists. Now I go to conventions with some of my favorite artists. But in the meantime, then my degree is actually in advertising. So with marketing background as well. So we bring that into the mix, and then I have an extensive publishing background. So we bring that into the mix. And then I worked 911 for a while, which working 911, any day that somebody doesn't die on your shift is a good day. So yeah, so that all of that training sort of led into me being able to do this and shaping me to become who I am. Not to mention, obviously, being sort of a natural chaos Muppet myself and not minding being in front of a group of people and just letting myself do my thing.
It is kind of nerves of steel because you're kind of in the spotlight. You're making and balloons pop, things happen. Now you don't blow them up with your own air, right?
I do not mouth inflate. They would definitely be having to call rescue if I tried to mouth inflate. And plus you can actually hurt yourself rather badly doing it incorrectly.
Really? I didn't know. I wasn't aware.
It can affect your retinas. It can affect, I believe there's then you can also damage things going on in your throat. I can't remember if it's your larynx. I don't want to say it's your larynx, but I know that retinas are a big one. You can really destroy your retinas by creating too much pressure back there.
My goodness.
So unless you're trained to do that for long periods of time, I don't recommend. Plus, there's something, especially after 2020, I don't like handing a kid,
something with my spit.
Here, take this beautiful thing that may pop on you. And so I find that my floor pump works so much better.
It's such a cool system that you were showing me your setup at the wedding. I was like, this is really cool. And it's very lightweight. You can move it in and out. And
I have several of those floor pumps. I have my big workhorse that I use when I've got to move fast because they all work slightly differently. I have an electric one if my shoulders are hurting that day because, as you age, your body does crazy stuff to you. And if you're using these muscles a lot, sometimes they're not up to it. So I do have an electric one, but it's slower, it's louder, it's a little more inconvenient, what have you. There's a hand pump, but then that, really works on these muscles. And sometimes I'm not up for that, but it's good for restaurant work. If I'm at a restaurant and I'm moving from table to table, works great for that. And then my floor pump, which is my workhorse and sits on the floor. I push down. It's a piston, basically. Push down, air comes out, and I have a workhorse and I have a pretty one. And so, depending on what event I'm doing, depends on what tool I'm using.
That's so cool. What are some of the challenges in this line of work that you've experienced?
There's challenges. You've got everything from kids who are having trouble understanding how to let me leave an event. I've developed some.
Follow you to the car, kind of a thing.
That has happened, and that's usually the parents. Going, just one more. I'm like, I've got to get to my next event. I appreciate you so much loving me, but I've got to go. But yeah, there's the kids who can't take the me leaving. So I always try to warn the kids before I'm leaving. That's another thing. I was a substitute teacher for a while my
Oh,
kid was growing up.
yeah.
So I'm used to, handling large, because I did mostly middle school. That was my favorite age group. And you develop some techniques at sort of herding and rounding those kids up and making a day go smoothly without being crabby and awful and being the fun one. And you get things done when you're the fun one. So, yeah, I try to warn the kids before I'm leaving. I give them plenty of verbal cues, plenty of visual cues that I'm wrapping things up. And then my tried and true strategy is I make a bunch of swords really fast, throw them on the ground, go sword fight, and I run out the side gate. So that has been my saving grace a couple of times.
That's a good strategy. There we go.
Hey, what's that over there? And then I'm over there. I wrap things up before I go, and then I just sort of make my quiet little exit. So,
Oh, I love that. I assume you've had lots of different experiences, and I'll do the wild ones first. Anything wild, crazy, just like this was insane.
I had a kid spit on me one time because he was mad because he had broken his balloon on purpose.
Oh,
And I have a very firm policy that if everybody's only getting one balloon, that if it pops, I will definitely make you another one, but it's going to be the same balloon that you got before because I don't want that remorse of seeing what everybody else got. So now suddenly your balloon pops and you need another one. So you'll get the same one. Well, he was mad because he'd actually popped his balloon on purpose. I saw him go over and stomp on it and then came back to me as like, my balloon popped. And I'm like, I'm sorry, honey, your balloon did not pop. So I'm trying to explain that not only am I getting ready to go, not only did I remake his balloon a couple of times in there, yeah, he got mad enough that he spit at me.
No.
And he was at like 7.
Consequences.
And I'm like, all righty, that's a new one. We also, just in the trade, it's funny that we have, because there are so few balloon twisters that do this professionally, we have like this whole family group behind the scenes through Facebook, through Instagram, and we all have our little war stories, and we have bingo cards that.
Oh, that's
because
a good idea.
There's something that always happens at an event. If I've been asked once or been told once, make me a bicycle clown from the Wedding Crashers.
Yes.
If I've been told that once, I've been told that a million times. So we all just laugh about it now and go on.
Just check that one off the bingo card.
Yeah. That's the freebie in the middle. That one happens. Let's see what else is real. Anytime you're just working when you're doing improv, what I do is a lot of improv. Weird things happen. I don't even know if it all phases me anymore. It just sort of like, well, that was a thing.
That's a new one.
Let's add that one to the card. One of my friends got thrown up on one.
No.
And I'm like, okay, that is the little, puzzle piece on the bingo card that very few people get that one. And I really don't want to. I have no desire to get that one.
Oh, man. Yeah, we get a lot of spilled drinks. A lot of people saying, play something good. A lot of older adults who are intoxicated acting like children.
That happens in my line too. And I try not to hold it against anybody because I know that not everybody's always at their best. And neither am I. I mean, I do have my moments where, I'm probably grinning at you. And inside there are some completely different thoughts going on because I'm just like, okay, I know we're not all at our best at this very moment. Let's just, proceed and go on and call it what it is.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yes. We're ultimately, we are here to entertain.
Exactly.
We want to, we want to keep things moving.
Absolutely.
Roll with the resistance, and we're still having fun.
And at the end of the day, as long as no one dies on my shift, it's an ace's day.
That's it.
Yeah.
An ace's day, yes.
Yep.
Do you have advice, people looking to book a balloon artist or a balloon entertainer? What are the things that like the must-haves or the like, I should avoid this?
For the people booking?
Yeah, if you're people looking to book and looking to learn more about it, what are the things that they should be asking, the things that you would want if you were booking a balloon artist, kind of?
I think probably number one is asking me if I need space and how much space I take up.
There we go.
I've gotten shoved into a lot of corners. I get shoved over by the speakers a lot. So sorry. And
it's loud.
But I carry those little earplugs with me that have the little, so that it screens out that noise so I can still hear the kids or the adults, and it sort of filters out the music a little bit.
Yeah.
That helps. because I don't hold it against the DJ either, because they're doing their thing too. I mean, that now there was one after one party where it was just so very, very loud that like my body was
Oh.
rebelling against the noise. That was when I bought the little earplugs. So I'm like, okay, I can't have that happen again, because that affected my mood. And
Yeah.
if I'm not happy, then I feel like I'm not making other people happy either. But as far as other people, space is a big one. Um, I try to be very low maintenance. When people call me and they're like, "What do you need? What do you want? What can you make?" I'm like, "What do you need of me? What are you looking to have? How many people are you going to have?" That's a huge one. Although now I also carry 3 different menus with me. I have my more I'd prefer not to even work with a menu, because I like it when kids just give me wackadoodle requests. I've made a chainsaw carrying rabbit. I have made aliens with unibrows. That was my most recent one that just made me laugh. Um, and I love those kind of requests, but more often than not, I'm going to need a menu to get through and keep things organized.
Yeah.
So if I know that I'm going to have 20 kids per hour, I have one menu. If I know I'm going to have 10 kids per hour, I have a different menu. If I know I'm going to have 50 kids, I have another menu, and I carry those with me at all times, because so many times they tell me, "Oh, we won't have any more than 20 kids," and I show up and there's 60. And it's like, I could throw a fit if I wanted to,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, what is the point? I'm there. I can do it. I can, you just roll with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something to take into consider. How big is your crowd? What do you expect of the balloon lady? Is there something else for the kids to do instead of standing and waiting in line for that long of a
Yes.
time? Is there a bounce house? Is there a station? Is there at weddings? It's not so bad because it's a more formal setting. So you've got the kids over with their parents coloring or doing something like that, because if there's kids at a wedding, most often they have something for the kids to do. I do weddings where there's a lot of stepkid situations, that kind of thing, where there's already an established family that they need to entertain the kids, that they're welcoming together into this one family. So that helps, but making sure that the expectations are kept in focus, I think, is important.
Balloon art has come a long way from the basic dog, the
Yes.
sword, that we've seen at carnivals and things like that. How have you seen, since you've been involved in the industry, it evolved? Because I'm seeing it more and more at weddings, where it's part of high-end decor. I know that's not what you do, but like,
No,
I know that you're familiar with the space a little bit. And did you do the popcorn?
I didn't do that. I know who did.
Oh, okay,
but yeah, no, I didn't do the popcorn for that one. Between decor has gone crazy. And I learned a lot of decor probably 2019. I was sort of feeling around who I was. I was taking things more full time, trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted to do with my business. So I really did learn a lot about decor, which came in handy in 2020 when people were doing drive-by parties and things like that, and that was sort of a jumping off point for a lot of people. I think the whole organic garland trend really became very popular at that time. It was a little bit more accessible, a little faster, that kind of thing, because you weren't doing all the precise measurement. There's a lot of precise measurement that can go into doing traditional columns, traditional arches, that kind of thing. I was always more interested in the more free-form stuff, the more sculptural stuff. One of the first things I ever did was a 15-foot dragon that went over a dance floor. I didn't know enough at the time to know that I shouldn't have probably tackled that 9 months into my balloon career. It was definitely a learning. The people loved it. Going back now, I would probably change it a little bit. I would change the details that I did on the face. The structural part I had down. But so you've gone from the traditional to the more organic when it comes to decor. Doing the sculptural stuff, which in the deco twisting, which is what I sort of was leaning into, is expensive. It's very expensive. So unless you're doing very high-end events, people aren't necessarily paying for the time that goes into doing that, which is where I think some of the organic came in, because it gives it a more sculptural look without a whole lot of added cost to it, if that makes sense. As far as decor, or as far as the twisting goes, that's another behind the scenes thing. That's one of those things where you had a couple of major balloon companies starting to pay attention to the twisters themselves and what the twisters were wanting. And you had all these great shapes. You had these things called geo rounds, which were donuts. You had geo flowers or geo blossoms, which were flower shapes with a hole in the middle. And we could turn those into faces. We could turn them into dresses. We could turn them into whole animals. And that 2020 created a problem there because there then were problems with getting the right materials, and they were having trouble being able to have enough people in the factories to what quality control started going down. And then one of our major players declared bankruptcy I think was earlier this year.
Oh my goodness.
So first that whole line of those not sculpture, but the more artistic balloons went under, and then that whole company folded. So now we're seeing other smaller companies fill in those spots. We're seeing new colors come out. I'm hoping the more artistic balloons will come back. Just aren't that many twisters, though. So those of us who are out there, we're very loud, and we try to go, please make these for us. We promise we'll buy them, but it's harder.
Does it seem like the industry is kind of leaning more towards the decor versus twisting?
Because it's easier to manufacture those balloons. Most of the colors are not most of the colors, but a lot of the colors are being geared for decor. I don't use a whole lot of ivory and moss green and beige and those colors. Those don't. I deal with a lot of these kind of colors.
Yeah. Bright,
very cartoony. Whereas decor isn't as cartoony because it's gone very high end. And some of the decor artists I know just can do amazing, beautiful work, and it's very elegant and not at all cartoony. And so you've got the balloon companies trying to figure out who they're serving. So, but that's the other part. It's improv with what we do too. We make do with what we have. Yeah. And I know some amazing artists who have turned those lemons into lemonade and learned from them as well. Cause we all try to learn from each other as well. So the higher up you go, the more you're leaning on your peers and going, oh, you did that. That's amazing. And you did that because we don't have that now. That's amazing. So yeah, there's a lot.
When you're talking about your setup, we talked a little bit about it already, but what are some of the logistical nightmares that people don't realize about balloon, twisting, or about installs, or just things like you got to consider this kind of thing.
Yes, and I can tell you, outdoors.
Outdoors. Okay, that was my first question.
Yep, outdoors. I'm sure it's probably the same things you face. They're so impressed by what we do, they kind of forget that we have to twist barehanded. So when it's sort of that whole thing. If your pet is cold outside, or if you're cold, your pet is cold. If you're cold, your balloon twister is cold too. And so we're twisting barehanded, and the balloons don't function very well.
Yeah, you couldn't do it with gloves. I never even thought about that.
No. And the balloons themselves, the latex tends to get very brittle under about 45 degrees. I can make do sometimes with heat packs and things, but then my fingers are really cold. And
can't only so long.
And it actually becomes physically painful.
Wow.
Hills are the other bane of my existence.
Yeah, if you have a pump that needs to be upright, how would you?
Yeah, I've shown up and they're going, is this space okay? Well, I can make it work if that's my only option. I don't want to be the problem child here. I know your event is bigger than me. Yeah. I'm not the star of your event. I'm sort of I'm not the leading cast. I'm the support staff here. I can make a hill work, but oh my gosh, I really hate seeing those coming. Also, when it's way too hot. Heat and humidity can also affect the balloons as well, and they can make me look really bad because my balloons are just popping right and left, and it's harder to control heat than it is to control cold. So humidity is a big one. I can keep my balloons cooler. We've got tricks of the trade to keep the balloons cooler. We've got tricks of the trade to keep them warmer. Humidity, static, all those kind of things are things I can't control 9 times out of 10. So it's learning to feel. A lot of what I do is visual. But a lot of what I do is also tactile. I can tell the difference between different brands of balloons just using my fingers.
Wow.
I can tell you when a balloon is going to pop because I can feel it in my fingers first. I don't have enough time to warn you. It's going to scare you out of your shoes, but I'm going to be fine because I know it's coming. Little things like that. Mostly the things that are uncontrollable, like weather, hills. Please don't put me on a hill.
No hills.
Please don't put me on a hill. My legs hurt because I'm bracing myself, and I've got kids who are falling, and it's a thing.
Oh man, I love it. For the interactive kind of entertainment side, we just did that wedding together.
Yeah.
For weddings that have a cocktail hour balloon artist, how do you feel like that changes the energy of the room compared to just having a photo booth. We do photo booth. I don't do balloon art, but I can definitely see a difference from my perspective. Are you have experience with this too?
I do. I see, especially when the adults start getting into it, when it isn't just relegated to the kids.
Yes.
And especially this last one where the couple that we had was so fun.
Yes.
And I've known her for ages, and she really enjoys what I do. It takes it kind of from you go to those weddings where you're like, oh, I've got to go to this wedding.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. It's for the bride and groom, and you go because you love them and you want to
Yes.
support them and be part of it. But at the same time, you're like,
It's almost a sense of duty.
yes,
Well, I care about them. This is what I have to do.
and I think it relieves some of that. It
Yeah.
brings it to, especially even if you don't have kids, if you just enjoy watching what's going on and sort of let yourself enjoy, even if you don't come up to my line to get a balloon, it's something to watch.
Yes.
It's not just the dancing. You're watching somebody do something that they love with kids who are loving it. And, have a drink, come get a hat,
Yes.
as a headband, something simple, something that just makes you feel like you're part of the joke. You're part of the
Yes.
fun.
It's so playful. It just
It
creates
is.
this like magic in the air that is, you can almost touch it. It's like it's a sensory thing that you can literally touch it.
Absolutely.
But
And I can still, even if I have brides that want me to stick with their particular, I don't want to say theme,
Mhm.
but if they want to keep things more elegant, I can totally keep things more elegant. I can keep the designs less cartoony. I can keep the colors a little more muted. Kids have just as much fun. The
Yeah.
only time I draw a line is I did have a request one time to do only the balloons in gold.
Oh no, that's
And I understand your aesthetic and I appreciate it. However, if you're having little kids there, I'm going to need somebody to explain to the little ones why Spider-Man has to be gold, because they are not going to understand when I hand them a gold Spider-Man that this is the Spider-Man you requested. He just happens to be gold. You might want a little wiggle room for the kids who aren't going to understand if you're
Mm.
including them. But no, I can tailor it just about anything I need to
Yeah.
within reason. Not that she wasn't being reasonable. She was a wonderful person. She just hadn't thought about it. She thought about it from picture perspective,
Yes.
not from kids not understanding why. Crowns can be gold and be beautiful.
Yes.
Spider-Man being gold is a little different, especially when you have those kids who want their screen accuracy and
Yes.
their canon, so
That's a very rich Spider-Man.
yeah, well, right 14 karat gold Spider-Man, that's a different universe, but we'll talk about that multiverse later.
But I love that it immediately elevates the mood, but also tones down the stress of the. It's
Makes it more playful.
Yes,
It,
yes.
it just brings some joy. And one of my favorite things to do is those headbands. I make a headband with like these little, in the 80s, we called them dealy boppers.
Yes.
Just the little boppy things on top. And you can make them in beautiful, wonderful colors. And it just makes things more relaxed.
Yeah.
And you can tell in fact, I ended up staying an hour later, not only because I knew the bride and groom and I wanted to do something extra for them, but because I was having fun and it was obvious they were having fun and people had
Yeah.
gotten a few drinks and they were enjoying. And at that point, I was just enjoying what I was doing and watching them. And everybody wanted a headband that
Yes.
night, which was
Yes.
great. And then the movement and the flow, and it made for some great pictures too. I saw some pictures later that I'm like, oh, that's excellent.
I love
That
it.
went better than even I expected.
What you do really, it kind of becomes like an icebreaker. Do you find that your art kind of helps guests connect and talk when they
course.
may not have had something in common to talk about before?
Of course. And if it doesn't get them if they start talking with me, they get a balloon, and then suddenly they're just more open with everybody.
Mm.
And especially if they're with the in-group now. So if all the adults start getting balloons, and I noticed that too at birthday parties as well, that once a key group at the birthday party of the adults gets the balloons, then the other adults will follow, and then suddenly everybody's just having a little more fun. It's a little more lighthearted, and it's a little more playful and it's a little different too,
Yeah.
because not everybody does that yet. So, it just plays into the kid inside being let free.
Mm. Well, what would you say is one of the most ambitious requests that you've had from somebody to design something or to
On the
do
fly?
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the most ambitious request on the fly that I've done? I get a lot of requests for wings. for people to
Oh,
wear.
to wear.
So like
Interesting.
dragon wings.
Yeah.
Dragon wings are because those tend to be bigger. So if I'm somewhere where fairy wings, quick, popular, but then you get somebody who wants something a little bit more epic.
Yeah.
And if I don't have a ton of people, I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do that. So I stand there and we start talking colors. We start talking textures. We start all that kind of, or not textures, but the various shines on the balloon, the visual aspects of the balloon itself. And I can make some really ridiculous things like that. And a lot of those things I keep in my back pocket too, that I've seen over the years from the rock stars in my community, the jetpacks. And then people are like, oh my gosh, you made a jetpack just out of, well, no, I sort of knew how to do that before, just hadn't gotten the opportunity. And so I'll start pulling balloons out that they didn't even know were in my kit, and I'm blowing things up and have everything light. And they're like, you just made that up. Yeah, kind of. And there was a little bit of improv going on there, but some of that was just stuff I really have wanted to make for a long time. The superhero arms that I don't always get a chance to make, but if you have that one person that's willing to wait a few minutes and yeah.
You can put it like a wearable.
Yeah. It's like this whole harness thing that goes over and my favorite is the Hulk.
Oh,
you can make like the big Hulk smash.
Fist? Yeah.
And then you've got this whole big thing that goes over and it's really impactful for pictures and things like that. But do I already know how to make it? Yeah, I do. It's just getting that opportunity to start rolling out some of the things I've always wanted to do. And that's when I get really excited, because that's when the artist in me really gets to come out and play, because I can not only put my own spin on things as I'm going, because it's things, yes, I know the recipe for how to make it, but then I'm putting my own spin in there while I'm going too.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's probably where it goes. It's not like an ambitious thing that I'm making up out of nowhere. It's something I've had in my back pocket for a while, and I've just wanted a good excuse
my
to
chance.
use. Yeah. You need a hot dog backpack. I'm your girl.
I do need a hot dog backpack.
Right? Who doesn't? But that's not something I can make at every event. That takes the right event for somebody to go, hey, I'm looking for something crazy and fun. What can you make for me? And like, well, hey.
I know that eco-consciousness is a big topic in weddings, and I'm sure we talked a little bit about this at that wedding. Is that how does the modern balloon industry, do you feel, is handling that issue of the sustainability of the helium and then the balloon drops itself, that kind of thing?
Right.
What is your kind of take on that?
My take on that, like I said, we talked about, I use all latex.
Mm-hmm.
So in latex is naturally biodegradable, which I feel much better about than, say, the plastic tablecloths you have at a lot of events, and the disposable dinnerware and things like that. I'm making a lot less impact on the environment than even a table of those, because our motto as balloon twisters is pin it and bin it. Pin it, put it in the trash where it belongs, where it can't be eaten by animals, eaten by kids. That's one of my biggest. Babies chewing on balloons, folks. Don't let your babies chew on balloons. It gives me a heart attack every time. Balloon releases are a huge no, just from the environmental impact. Even though they're latex balloons, the strings are not. The strings do not biodegrade. Those are made of usually a mix of like a nylon, a mylar, or something along those lines that does not biodegrade easily, if at all. Latex balloons biodegrade at about the rate of an oak leaf. So they don't dissolve, but they do disappear. Wow. Also in the balloon industry, we use the long skinny balloons, which are generally 260s. They're 2 inches in diameter, 60 inches long when inflated. We use those for everything. I use them for tying up my tomatoes this year. And I can tell you they absolutely do biodegrade, because by the end of the summer, they are dissolved down into the dirt. The mylar balloons, that's another reason I didn't go into decor. My issue, although we've also found the decor industry has found ways to reuse those. They've found ways to repurpose them as shredding in other things that they use for decor. So there are ways to work around that as well. Plastic, I think, is probably our biggest problem, and balloons aren't made of plastic. They're made of latex, which is a natural sap from a tree. And the balloons that I use are 100% latex. Sure, they do have coloring in them. They have cornstarch on them. It might even be talc. I can't remember which it is, but which isn't necessarily good health-wise, but another reason I don't mouth inflate, so I'm not inhaling talc. But yeah, for the most part, they will biodegrade and aren't a problem. And balloon drops aren't problematic because most of those don't include helium. So you've just got a big net full of balloons that are dropping down for like New Year's, weddings, those kind of things where the balloons drop down. Those are perfectly fine, pin them and bin them, and they'll biodegrade with everything else. I try to avoid plastic. Let's see, what was the other one? Helium was the other one. People, a lot of talk about helium, especially with places like Joann's going out of business. I don't know that they did a whole lot of balloons before, but I see it was Party City going. Yeah, that's what did it. So now I'm seeing places like Michael's going, we have balloons. And yeah, helium has definitely gone up in price. Another reason I didn't go into decor because the helium was just more expensive than I wanted to deal with. I do have a home tank, but it wasn't, the price is, I think, now quintupled from when in the past 10 years.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's really wild. A good decor artist, though, will also know various ways of how to create
same look without
the helium. It may cost just as much because you're working with more structure then, and a good decor artist will use a good structure underneath to make sure that your guests aren't going to tell that there's not helium involved. But yeah, for anybody worrying, it's not the good helium that's being used for the balloons anyway. It's kind of garbage helium that wouldn't be. And those tanks, those are the tanks that you get at Walmart. Oh, those are terrible.
Don't do them.
No, don't do them. I know it's tempting, but don't do them. Just go to your local decor artist and have them blow those up because those tanks are going into landfills, and that's so much worse than anything else. And the helium in them is worse than junk helium because it's so watered down with just air. You can float a basic 12-inch balloon with a 60-40 mix of helium and air, but those tanks have even less than that.
All right, I have a few quick hits for you.
Yes.
What do you think is the most common balloon color you've seen this year?
Wow. Let's see. So red is always going to give everything a run for its money. Red is very popular. You got pink. You got your pink. That turquoise. I think this is where I started seeing a shift. Last year, turquoise was my most popular color for boys and girls. A lot of that comes from video games. You have video games like Minecraft that have the diamond aspect, which is sort of that bluey green color. So that turquoise got brought more into. You see a lot of shifting of whatever traditional gender colors you might have perceived in the past.
Yeah.
That turquoise started becoming more of a quote-unquote boy color. And I don't think balloons should ever be gender colored for anybody.
It's just a color.
But yeah, exactly. But with that, then, you started seeing more of a shift of purples and pinks into the boy realm. You started seeing more a shift of the reds and the dark blues into the girl realm, which I am loving so much because the darker side of balloons is you get kids online who are like, I want a pink sword, and it's a boy. And you've got some of that stereotype, some of that people still holding on to those gender lines, and they're upsetting their kids because of a pink balloon, and it crushes my soul just a little bit. And
you're front stage for that. It's just the kid wants a pink sword. What's the problem?
Exactly. Yeah. Your kid is great. Don't worry about your kids. Your kids are going to be wonderful no matter who they are. And that pink balloon isn't going to make any difference in the long run to their heart and their soul. It's a balloon, and your kids are there to be happy. But yeah, no. As far as color, like sort of my own little soapbox there, because I hate seeing kids hurt, and that's one of my little soapboxes. But no, popular colors, turquoise. Turquoise is huge. Boys, girls, everybody in between. Turquoise is huge.
Okay.
So
not what I would expect, but that's kind of cool to hear.
Right? You got,
and it's video games that are kind of guiding that. It makes sense for culture, for kids.
Which is really funny because when Among Us came out, I started getting these requests for, I'd like a cyan balloon, please. I'm going, honey, you're 8.
How do you know color and cyan?
How are we doing cyan? Because I knew it from like HTML stuff from back in the day. Yeah. I'm like, why are we throwing around colors like magenta and cyan at me? And then talking to my daughter, who kept me sort of in the loop. She's like, Mom, that's an Among Us thing. They have those colors listed. Oh, I'll make sure I have them in my kit now. So I try to keep things screen accurate for my very dedicated video game kids too. So.
All right, another quick hit for you. What's a big no-no if you're trying to do it yourself with balloons? Big no-no. Something you should not do.
Stay away from Amazon.
Stay away from Amazon
balloons.
balloons.
I love me some Amazon. I buy so much on Amazon, but balloons fresh makes a difference when you're balloons. If you're going to and I am totally behind anybody who wants to twist balloons. Yes, I encourage it wholeheartedly. It's a lot like singing. Yes, anybody can sing. Is everybody going to make a living at it? No. So I don't feel like by telling people to twist, I don't feel like I'm cutting into my business. If anything, it helps people realize that what I do is kind of difficult.
Yeah.
But if you're doing this, if you don't have the budget to hire me, I get it, 100%. But make sure you equip yourself with good balloons, fresh balloons. Name brand balloons off Amazon aren't bad. They may not be the freshest, but they're not going to be as bad as the ones that are going to be shipped from overseas that smell like, for whatever reason, kerosene. I tried it and I opened this up, I'm going, I can't give this to a kid. I don't even want this near my face, let alone a kid's face. Stay away from those. They're bad. They're really bad, and they're low quality. They will pop. On the other hand, it makes me look So, whatever.
That's why I love when people DJ their weddings with their phone. I'm like, okay, you'll see.
And I think it's probably a lot of the same thing. Sure, anybody can make a music list, but there are very few people. There are very few people who are going to A, enjoy it doing it, B, look like they enjoy doing it, and know how to work the room as well as a professional. Yeah. So there are people who can do it but aren't going to make a living doing it. And then there are people who are going to make a living doing it, and even fewer who are going to be rock stars at it. So if you do it yourself, you're probably not going to be a rock star. But do you need to be a rock star for your 3-year-old?
No, you're a
rock star already in their eyes anyway.
Yeah.
If you have the budget to hire me, that's great. And it's one more thing off of your plate. I can help walk into a situation, into a wedding, where I've done this for a lot of years and I've dealt with a lot of things, and most of it doesn't faze me. I'm going to come in, I'm going to take minimal stress, I'm going to take minimal thought from you, point me in the direction, and I'll take care of it from there. If you want to try and do it yourself, by all means, teach your kid to make a balloon dog. Enjoy the time with your kids, enjoy the time with your neighbors and your family. I don't feel threatened. I make a living doing this. The people who are going to make a music list aren't threatening your...
No, that's not my competition.
Exactly.
Not really.
Exactly. No.
What's the loudest pop you've ever heard at a...
Holy cow. I can tell you that one. The loudest one why was I in that hotel room? Where were we going? I don't know. I always have balloons on my person somewhere. So a lot of times if we're traveling, I know where we were going. My husband and I were going down to Daytona for Bike Week. Oh. And we were in a hotel, and I had my bag of balloons with me, and I thought, I'm just going to make a balloon to leave with a tip for housekeeping.
That's fun.
And because it was so quiet, and because you don't have a lot of noise dampening, a balloon popped. I had too much air in it, which is going to be your bigger pop anyway, and I pushed it too far, and it sounded like something exploded in my room. And it was a busy hotel. I actually called the front desk and was like, in case somebody heard that was not a gunshot.
Not a gunshot.
That was me. I was blowing up balloons. I like, it's a long story, but I'll just tell you that was a balloon. And it may not have been as loud to everybody else, but that was the loudest one I encountered because it was so silent otherwise. I felt really bad because that's the other thing when I was substitute teaching. Middle school kids will do just about anything for a balloon dog. Wow. So I always had my kit with me and just make something super fast and super simple. But I had to alert the people at the front desk, and let the officer on duty know I had balloons with me. Nothing was going on. If they heard a pop, not to worry. That was nothing scary. It was just me, just me trying to reward somebody for being good in my class. So,
how many balloons do you think you've blown up in your career, if you had to guess?
Oh, heavens. Heavens. Okay, so in my kit, I probably carry, I pack 100 balloons of every color that I carry. So there's probably 5,000 balloons in my kit at any given time. And I have hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
We'll go with hundreds
Just quite
of
a few,
thousands.
yeah.
Yeah, because like, I carry a lot more balloons than what I need. But by the end of a 2-hour stint at a wedding, I've decimated my bag to probably about half of its capability, because I tend to do lots of just blowing up of balloons for things I may need to make. And I'm not really, I don't portion out my balloons. But for every
the whole thing is about abundance. It is
yeah,
about having
and
fun
I like to have everything on my palette. So after about 3 parties, I'm repacking my balloon.
Okay.
After 6 hours of work, I'm repacking my bag, and it's probably at least 5,000 balloons in my bag at any given time.
You go out for that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's quite a few.
Yeah, and like I said, I blow up more than I need sometimes. If I give me 20 spare minutes where there's nobody standing in front of me, and I'm going to create the biggest thing I can. And it may be ridiculous, but it may be like a woven top hat. It may be something like that. I can go back to in between
work on your project when
you're paying me to be there. I'm going to give people something to watch.
Yes.
So
that's cool. You're sculpting, you know?
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. I'm an artist who's sculpting, and it may not even get done before I leave, but people have had something to watch and something to talk about and come up to me, and it breaks the ice. It's a good icebreaker for people to come up and go, hey, I would like a hat, and I throw that to the side, and I make them a quick hat, and then they're happy, and I go back to my big hat. So.
What's the longest you've seen one of your creations last?
Bless their little hearts. I have 2 stories for that. I have a lady who's become a very dear friend of mine that I twisted Spider-Man and a butterfly for her kids for their birthday party, and they kept them around for a year. By the end of that year, they were in a little baggie, and they were perfectly proportioned. They just got really smaller and kind of sad looking. And I think a year is the longest anybody's brought me back something that. Then when I used to twist balloons at a park for their movie nights. And I would be there, every 2 weeks? Every 2 weeks, there'd be a little girl there who was getting one of my baby doll balloons. And I twist this like super cute in a baby blanket. And about every 2 weeks, her other one would have deflated to the point, and she would come back every 2 weeks and get another baby. And so she had one then that lasted over the winter, that she kept and brought back for the following spring. But so that was very cute as well. But I think those are the longest. My mom, too, for whatever reason, kept a cat that I did her for a ridiculously long time. I'm like, Mom, you have a connection. I can make you another. But she's like, it was just so cute. I didn't want to throw it away. I was like, okay, you're my mother for a reason. So,
My daughter made this. I want to keep it.
And that was it, too. And plus, she also then had the aspect of wanting to see how long it would last, just because, just that interest in it and seeing what would happen. I myself can't stand the smell of decaying latex. So anything in my house gets popped within a week.
Something's bad. Needs fresh balloons in here.
I cannot stand that smell. I cannot stand to listen to other people twist, and I can't stand to smell deteriorating latex. I think I'm just so sensitive to it now because there's so much of it that,
If you could do a balloon installation or a twist for a celebrity wedding, which celebrity would you choose? And it could be historical too.
You know who I would love? Robin Williams. I would have loved to have been able to twist at his wedding, at an event of any of his. I think he would have gotten the biggest kick out of it.
Oh, he would have loved it.
And I would have loved to have seen what he'd done with it because he would have just, run with it.
Yes.
That would probably be my ultimate. Who currently can I think of? I'm not so much about the celebrity as I am about who would bring the biggest joy, about who I would get the biggest reaction from, who would be the happiest to do something like that. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head. It's probably the smaller people. That sounds really strange, and I know some of the rock stars in my world have twisted for some big celebrities, and they've done decor for big celebrities, but those aren't the people that impress me. That sounds strange, but okay. that's the celebrities aren't the people that impress me. I don't necessarily need the big titles around it. I like the people who are just going to see what I do for the art that it is, and that it's a very temporary art form, and they're not going, oh, it's just balloons. 'Cause not just balloons. There's a lot of there's a lot of imagination in there, and there's a lot of taking something or taking nothing and turning it into something. And that delights me. And I like making that for other people who it delights, who other people who see that whimsy, who, are willing to go on that little trip with me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I have one last question
Yeah.
kind of close. If a couple or someone is on the fence about balloons because they think they're just for kids, what is one thing you would say to change their mind?
Everybody has that little kid still in them. And I have seen some of the grumpiest people do a complete 360 when they're handed a balloon. And there's something comforting and playful and fun. And like I said, my favorite party was for a 90-year-old great grandpa. That at a wedding, if you're not trying to, if you're going for that big epic Hollywood wedding, no, I may not be the lady for you. If you don't, kids notwithstanding, I may not be your perfect match, and I'm okay with that. You have your beige wedding. I'm awesome with that. It'll be beautiful. But if you want something that's a little more approachable, a little more fun, something that makes your grandpa happy, something that makes your grandma smile and watch your grandpa as he's clowning around, or your kid brother who's never actually, I don't want to say not grown up, but your kid brother who has that sense of playfulness and who's going to bring a whole other sense of bringing your family together. That fun, that uncle, that fun guy who just made your childhood amazing and is going to go crazy with these balloons. That's the wedding you need me at. That's the wedding where you want me to be sort of that icebreaker. That you want to put a funny hat on your really grumpy great aunt, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at what can happen. That it doesn't have to be something cartoony. It can be something elegant. It can be something with the shiny colors rather than the cartoony colors. It can fit. It has its place. If you have a little bit of whimsy, that's where I need to be. That's where I fit best.
Well, Stephanie, if people listening would love to hire you to come twist or do face painting at their event or their wedding, what's the best way they can see examples of your work or get in contact with you?
Best way to see examples of my work is to go to my website, which is, of course, Balloontacular.com. Probably my most recent stuff usually ends up on Facebook, also at Balloontacular Entertainment. Let's see, my Instagram, by virtue of me posting on Facebook, it goes to my Instagram. Terrible at doing videos. I get so in the moment of what I'm doing. I never remember to take videos. If you want to get a hold of me, best way is to text me. Best way is to text me at 219-226-6789. I will see a text. I get so much spam calls to my phone. I don't always answer it because I can't always interrupt what I'm doing to answer yet another spam. But I will always answer a text message. Those are or send me a message on Facebook. Or my email, which is Mrs. B, which is MRSB@balloontacular.com, which is also on my Facebook and on my webpage. And I try to sprinkle my contact info out there anywhere I can. So
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming on. I really appreciate
Thank you
your
for
time
having me. Thank you for having me.
It's been wonderful. Please come back and see us.
Yes. Always happy to come back.
Yes.
Always happy to chit-chat a little bit.
Yes. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We will see you at your event. Take care.